Educators and Champions for Africa. Allow me to introduce our speakers. Welcome to all of you. Our first speaker is Ralitsa Debrah. Ralitsa is from Ghana. She's a design educator and researcher. Ralitsa Debrah is a researcher at the Cape Peninsula University of Technology, South Africa, and Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana. She's also a member of the Design for Social Innovation and Sustainability Network, the Network of African Designers and Systems for Development Network, DesignGhana and Emerge Africa. She's also part of the World Design Organization's Young Designers Cycle. She's passionate about educational technology, online facilitation, gamification in education, open education resources, and design in general. We're proud to tell you that Ralitsa Debrah is an Open Design Africa curator and ambassador. The next speaker that will also be joining us is Bubu Ogisi. She's from Lagos, Nigeria, creative director and stylist, and designer behind the label Iyamisigo. Bubu Ogiso is a fiber artist, a creative director of contemporary women's wear, Iyamisigiso, and is one of the 4 members of the art collective H Factor. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, and now living between Lagos and Nairobi, she grew up in multiple cities and acquired a BSc in computer science from Regent University and an MA from the Fashion Business School, École Supérieure des Arts et Techniques de la Mode in Paris, France. Her work spans around decolonizing the mind through the idea of how body exists and interacts with the space, pieces from organic material, ancient textile, animating our stories, our strategy. Samuel Korti lives in Accra, Ghana. He has practiced and taught animation for nearly 30 years. He was head of the animation program at the National Film and Television Institute in Ghana until 2008. Educated at the National Film and Television Ghana and at the Bournemouth University, UK. In 2005, he founded Animation Africa, an animation consultancy promoting African folklore through running animation workshops and events in universities, art colleges in Ghana, and all throughout the West African region. Samuel is president of the Animators Association of Ghana, a board member of the Ghana Academy of Film and Television, and founding director of Anima Afrique, a festival dedicated to the promotion of African and Caribbean animation. Before we hand over to Ralitsa, please remember to post any questions that you have in the chat box, and we'll get back to those at the end of this session. I'm going to hand over to Ralitsa Debrah. Thank you, Ralitsa.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here. And I'm very, very excited to be part of this festival today, a special day. And joining from, West Africa, and actually I can really experience Cape Town from where I am. I'm super excited to be here. So I'd like to go to my slides and then share my presentation for today. There we go. All right. So today is Africa is Rising Day. And yes, we are rising as Africans, wherever we are, yes, and we are rising indeed. So I like to speak from the point of view as an ODA ambassador and also from Ghana as well. So you mentioned that Africa, we believe in Africa. And we spell Africa with a K, yes, indeed, because we are beginning to look at ourselves as African and appreciate who we are and design from the perspective of Africans. So I will not stress too much on that because you're speaking a lot about that. And so, yes, if anybody sees Africa with a K, it's we Africans rising. Okay, so I would like to introduce Dr. Esther. Dr. Esther, I see, is an iconic African artist and designer that you can ever think of that has taken Africa across the world. and I see her as one of our heroes. And so it's very, very important that we share her story in this Africa Rising Day. So
I had the privilege of meeting Esther Malango in April of 1999, and I was immediately struck by her passion for design, indeed the African aesthetic, her pride in her own culture, and the visual communication that she had learned as a child immediately struck me and influenced me profoundly as a socially conscious designer.
Thank you so much. That was Professor Mugendi, who is a great ambassador of African design and has taken also design across the world as well, and also a former president of World Design Organization. So that was his interaction with Dr. Esther. So let's hear a little bit more about what Dr. Esther does.
Awomgwalo wona mvulo ukuthi ene azokukhona ngani ngoba soba abanye babe njani mara igazi li-1 liyafana zokukhona lokho. Ngimu Mahlangu ivela kwaNdebele eMpumalanga eSouth Africa. Mina manje ngilandele umbereko wami engiwenzako.
Esther was brought to the project for this aid campaign, a collaboration with Red and Belvedere to fundraise for Africa. There is a big need for medicines and help, and the idea was to do a campaign in various cities in America, starting in New York with John Legend. Then she went to Los Angeles, to Chicago, to Atlanta.
Ngathoma ngenesumi leminyaka ngafundiswa ngugogo noma angithe ihlabathi imikise nobulongo ngoba iyaqinisa iyabamba izulu nalo ayisuki ngabuku ngaphandle kubana ibethe sinanja ayisuki ngabuku.
What is striking in her work is the balance, the simplicity, the colors, the geometry. She doesn't use rulers, she doesn't use step measures, and yet everything is very controlled. To complement these sort of presentations in various cities in America, Esther showed her way of working. People were very engaged with the process. It was quite beautiful.
I didn't really know how hard it would be to draw a straight line with the chicken feather and paint. So that was like just amazing.
I felt really connected with her as soon as I saw her, to be honest. And I feel like everyone in the room felt connected with her as well, as they were able to get that intimate experience of being able to paint with her.
She's really inspiring in terms of the people. Her cause is dignified, it's human. It really represents something that we need to look at in terms of all people across this world.
She now, at her age, travels with Isaac Mokwana, the companion from the family, who is trying to organize things for her. But for her, all this traveling is a wonderful eye-opener. She learns all the time. She is fascinated by everyone she comes in contact to, of course.
All right, so thank you so much. That is Esther, one of our global inspirers, and it was really worth giving her the time and showing her to Africa and what we are doing across the world. So I'll move on to the next slide. Now, designed born in other parts of Africa as well. Africa, as you can see, is also rich in gold and diverse cultures. So these are images from the West. And we believe that the glasses, as you see in the one of the early conceptualizations of eyeglasses, which is made of gold. And usually you can see on the screen that there's a woman wearing one, which is the Queen Mother. And it was designed that way, which is over so long, many years ago, over centuries ago. It's designed so that the subject cannot really look into her eyes. So that was what we believe that is one of the beginning of design in a very specific way from the continent. So that is from Ashanti, and also the king is from Ivory Coast, and you can also see an Ashanti Queen Mother. That is where I am also coming from and also speaking from that side of the world. Now, with African designs, the designs are usually inspired by indigenous knowledge systems, and these are what we call the Adinkra symbols from where I come from Ghana. And you can see the Adinkra, which is king of design, and we see open design activities and everything that is happening in Africa as a good inspiration for design, which can have global impact. So now we want to look quickly at our smallest massive project across Africa. So Africa is rising, and like we said, we want to rise within. These are the stats across the continent on what we have and then what we are doing at the moment. So this is how Africa is rising, as you can see on the screen. And so we have so many minerals and a lot of human resource that we also turn into creative work as well. So some of the projects and what excites us about Africa are these core projects: the Zipline, the Free Play, the Cardiopath from Cameroon, and also the South African project as well. So we will look into it one after the other and see how these projects go. So let me play this quick clip.
Every year, 1 million babies die during childbirth. Complications kill 500,000 mothers and another 1 million babies within a month. 99% of these deaths occur in the developing world and are preventable with timely detection of complications. The fetal heart rate is the most important indicator of fetal distress, but less than 1% of fetal heart rate monitors worldwide are available in low-income countries. The solution to the problem is twofold. One is to make a product that's rugged and reliable and simple to use. The second part of it is don't make it dependent upon electricity sources. For example, don't make it reliable on mains electricity, don't make it rely upon batteries. So what we have over here is a product that uses human energy to create its electricity. On the back of the product there's a crank, and you wind up the crank, and in doing so I'm creating electricity at about this speed, and for every minute of turning this crank, I'll get 10 minutes of monitoring time from the product.
A lot of the equipment used in developing countries has been developed for first world countries. It is expensive, it breaks easily, difficult to get it repaired, and is often inappropriate to the needs of a under-resourced area. The problem is that if the blood supply, the mother's blood supply to the placenta is inadequate for many medical reasons, the baby may not get enough oxygen during a contraction. If this happens, the baby does the sensible thing, and that's to reduce its oxygen requirements, its oxygen needs, and it does this by slowing its heart rate down. And it's the slowing of the fetal heart rate, or bradycardia as we call it, that is the signal that the baby gives out that it is not managing labor adequately, that it's becoming stressed by inadequate amounts of oxygen. With this device, we can count the baby's heart rate at the start of the contraction, and then as the contraction progresses, see whether the heart rate slows down. And if it does, this is an extremely reliable marker that the baby is not getting adequate amounts of oxygen.
So that was also the fetal heart rate monitor, and you can see how an African solution is also having an impact on the global world and how projects are designed, but does not really have impact for many, because it's really good to design something that can have an impact on the 90% rather than designing for the 10%, because most of the projects that are designed outside of the continent are normally not suitable for us. So this is a very classic example of that. And then the next one that excites us is the Waka Water project from Ethiopia. So let's have a quick look at what it's all about.
My name is Arturo Vittori, and I'm an architect designer. Over the last 3 years, we have been working on a project called Waka Water. Waka Water is a philosophy that is looking at the environment and different possibilities to collect and harvest water in a sustainable way. The idea of the project came out from visiting a small village called Dorze in Ethiopia and realizing these incredible issues, seeing children and women walking for kilometers and kilometers every day in order to bring some water home. Waka Water is represented now by a tower that is going up to the sky to collect moisture from the air and to bring it down by gravity to the people. We have a holding structure, which is made, in this case, out of bamboo. There is an inner mesh that is harvesting, collecting the water by condensation. And then there is a big funnel, and then a reservoir that is containing the water. Each tower is capable to provide the community with 100 liters of water every day. And this water is potable. The idea is to have a structure that's simple to construct on site. The entire tower is very light. It's almost 80 kilograms and it's 12 meters high. So that was the big challenge, how to make it possible to build without scaffolding, without machinery, only by constructing by hand. But in order to achieve this, the real technology and difficulty has been in the design part. So for me, the cutting edge technology in the project is in the software. The design is basically parametric. Once we have designed the shape, we can improve it, implement it very easily without redesigning it again. So in a few seconds, we are already another option. An important part of the project is the idea that it's an open source concept. The local community will be trained how to make it, and they will be free to repeat it as much as they like.
All right, so that is also the Waka Water project, which has won the World Impact Prize. And then the other one too is also the cardio platform from Cameroon, which is also doing amazing impacts in Cameroon and helping to actually monitor blood pressure and all of that in Cameroon. Then we have the Zipline project, which also started in Rwanda, but now it's also in Ghana as well. And it's also being used to deliver health supplies to remote areas across the continent. So this is also another exciting project in Africa. Then let's have a look at She28, which is also an interesting project from Rwanda. So She28. Okay, so now with all the exciting projects, we are also very happy that we are joining right from the waterfront that we can see. So those were the classic examples of the projects that we have in Africa. And all of those projects are really projects that have local solutions but have global impact. And you can actually read more about it online as well. And so now that we cannot meet in face-to-face, we are very happy that everybody is joining us across the world and enjoying the ODA festival with us, the first virtual meeting. And so I'd like to say that you are all welcome to Africa. Welcome to the ODA event live from V&A Waterfront, and enjoy the celebrations with us. Thank you. Okay. All right, so over to you. Yes.
Thank you for that, Ralitsa. It was absolutely inspirational to see what we can do with our own resources, with our own innovative thinking. Thank you for sharing those beautiful African examples. The next speaker for us that's up is Samuel Korti. Thank you, Samuel, and welcome. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. Hi.
Welcome, Samuel. You can go ahead. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome, everybody. Thank
It's his internet.
you this morning. It's so exciting to understand what's happening around. I'm just going to have a very short conversation about what we do, what our work where our work has taken us to, for how long we have traveled this journey, and it's exciting to share with all these wonderful people, especially having the opportunity to be at the waterfront this morning. I want to start my conversation from some 40, 50 years ago, about how this whole thing started and why the need to be able to tell our own stories. And I'm excited to have seen what Ralitsa presented, because that's a fantastic warehouse of information that we can use in telling our stories. Largely, if you look at our African continent, it's very rich with cultural materials.
With issues in Accra. So we're just holding on, waiting to see if that we can get connection again. It may help, Samuel, if you switch off your video and if you speak us through your story. Sometimes that helps with the bandwidth. So it seems at this point in time, we're just looking to reconnect with Samuel. He's dialing in from Accra, Ghana, and I don't know what the bandwidth situation is like there in the meantime. So while we're holding out for that, I want to remind all of you to please post your questions that you have for us in the chat box. It was really inspiring to see just a little bit of the African highlights that Ralitsa shared with us. Esther, Gogo Esther, Mama Esther, we all know her. She's world renowned and she's such a humble. Are you back with us, Samuel?
Yeah, I am back.
Great.
So I'm going to run through quickly, so we can get, I mean, as much as we have to. So this is what happened. I mean, largely our approaches to animation has largely been advocacy. How to stop malaria, how to improve sanitation in our environment, agri. So it's largely health, agriculture, sanitation. Now, I think some of the challenges we've had, I mean, in the beginning was the fact that we didn't have enough training places. We didn't have enough resource. For example, in Ghana, from where I come from and from where we started from, everything you needed to produce your animation had to be imported. You couldn't go into a shop in Accra to buy. You had to import everything. You had to buy, we only had one equipment, in Ghana, so for if we had 10 or 15 animators, we all had to queue with just one equipment, which was an analog rostrum camera. I mean, and you can imagine the frustration that a simple movement that would take about an hour on a computer today could take you 2 days to do. So that was the limitation. And also because when animation started in Ghana and in most African countries, it was basically experimental. And so it was just to do something which is not more than a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It was educational in Ghana's case, supporting educational television, science educational programs, mathematics, geography, some environmental issues. And then they came also into commercials, television commercials. So they were just 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 30 seconds kind of stuff. And then in other places like in Niger, in Mali, in the Congo, these were very expensive artworks that the design elements, that if you want to produce, you would have to start possibly in your home country and finish up in either in London, or you have to finish in Belgium, or you have to finish in France. So these were the limitations right up to about 2000. Now, by the same time, if you look at our competitors in Southeast Asia, in the Philippines, in South Korea, in other places, they were involved in co-productions. They were, involved in co-productions, and they were destinations for productions from companies like Hanna-Barbera, like Disney, and all the big names in animation. So it gives them the opportunity to build up their capacity, their skills. It gave them the opportunity to build equipment, to build some infrastructure for the takeoff of that industry. So by 2000, when technology changed, and when computers became cheaper and softwares were now easy to run on these computers, it became easier to turn these skills into large-scale productions. Now, unfortunately, because of the way we had started largely in many African countries, we were at a disadvantage and we could not move immediately. We had a problem with schools. We had a problem with training. We had a problem with studios. We had a problem with the skills that we needed. We had a problem with investments. Now, what changed my thinking and most other people that we brought on board was in Madrid in December 2000. I saw one evening, I saw a long queue of people going to cinema to watch a film, and I found out what was happening, and then I was told that they had queued to watch Kirikou. They had queued to watch Kirikou, and it was interesting that we were watching. They had queued to watch a story that was African in that cold winter, and it was a long queue. And I was wondering what was in that film that would make people queue up in winter to watch. Now, I've got the opportunity to watch the film later, and I just realized that, well, this is a film set in Cote d'Ivoire, African images, our own stories, our own music, our own people, and this is how far it has gone. I mean, we can talk about some of Disney's films, that that they've also made, based on African stories. But that for me was a reawakening that if an African story can sell so much in Europe and for people to queue up, even in that cold winter, then we have some hope of telling our story. So I started organizing events and bringing up people. We got people from the Caribbean. We got people from some European schools came on board, some Canadian schools. We got Celia Sawadogo. We got Kamel from the Trinidad. There was Kwame from Kenya. Gado from Kenya, and some exciting people. So what we decided to do was to start telling our stories. And it has been a successful journey so far. In the last 12 years, my organization, Animation Africa, has organized training in the universities and colleges. Our first training was in 2007. We picked 36 students from an art college here in Accra, and over 3 months we were able to get them to animate. And that was an exciting experience for us because these were people who hitherto would not have had the opportunity to animate, and then suddenly they get that opportunity to do that, and they were doing that fantastically. Now we extended our experiment further. We tried it in Freetown in Sierra Leone. We tried it in Burkina Faso with Justin Yebo. We had some conversations with some counterparts in Nigeria, and they started doing things, picking up things like that. Now, so that in 2005, we partnered another animation company called Toon Boom to help us in growing the animation industry, because it was one of the leading animation softwares in the world, at that time and even now. And we thought that if we had to move our industry, we needed these partnerships. So our partnerships with leading international softwares, with universities like Concordia University in Canada, with universities in France, and then locally with KNUST. And I must say, Ralitsa was one of the people who worked with some 12 years ago, and it's interesting how well she has led the training program in animation and digital media at KNUST, and we're so proud of him. There are quite a number of them, So in the last 12 years, what we have largely done, and we think that it is possible to do in almost every other African country, and especially now when technology is cheap, when social media is present, when there's so many opportunities than there were 40 years ago, that we would build our capacities from our training institutions, so that the training institutions, right from high school, they get into the universities or into colleges, they would come there prepared already as people who know which area of this art they want to contribute. Now, we also want to understand that it's not just people who want to animate. It's a big industry for people, for songwriters, for illustrators, for script writers, for directors, for photographers. It's an exciting new area. And one more thing I want to state before I bring my conversation to an end. Animation is driven largely by music, so it's a storytelling, and in your storytelling you would have your music going with your stories. I mean, the traditional African settings, especially from where we come from, you would find, it's dying though, but you would find the grandmother or the elder of the family would tell the story to the kids, and then alongside would have some music to go with, some choreography, some dance and all that. Now, this style of storytelling fits very well into storytelling in animation. you know, with the songs and the stories as they go along. So for us as Africans, we naturally have the ingredients that will push that industry. And this is a fantastic time that we will have to look at the new technologies in social media. We'll have to look at, I mean, forget about the challenges I'm having with mine, though, but we'll have to look at the opportunities with the social media. We have to look at opportunities even with traditional media. I keep saying that. I mean, if you look at just the West African region, and I'm concentrating on the West African region, you know, more. I believe that if we had time, we could look at other regions too. But in the West African region, we're looking at 200 million plus people. And I keep saying that even if we're using traditional distribution networks and we're able to get 1 million people to buy a product that has been produced by a studio, and we're making a profit of $1, you know, per sale. So we're looking at $1 million. And $1 million translated into local currency, that's a lot of money, and that's something that can bring massive change into an industry like that. I am excited about this ODA, I mean, event, you know, happening today, and the opportunity to share some of my views. But I want to say that whatever our situation is as Africans, we are in a very exciting time as designers. And I think that all designers must take, I mean, I'm just campaigning for my area, but I would want to say that it's an exciting time for all designers. I mean, I have seen some exciting designs Ralitsa presented, you know, in the earlier presentation. I'm hoping to see what Bubu is going to bring up. And I already have some ideas as to what kind of shapes you can move around and what kind of music that would go with it. Fantastic music we have across all the 50 plus countries in in Africa. Fantastic stories that would have in all the 51 countries plus. Fantastic history would have, folklore, everything. I mean, these are exciting times. And I mean, previously we would have to get a rostrum. You have to buy your cell and sell paints from London or from Belgium. You have to rent a studio in Soho in London, or you have to rent a studio somewhere else. But today, I mean, whether you are in Gaborone, whether you are in Douala, in Niamey, in Dakar, wherever you find yourself, you're able to produce world-class animation from your laptop. I mean, you can do exciting things. You can do stop-motion animation from your phone, you know. So you're not limited, you know, because in 1998, a simple silicon graphic workstation that you need to 10 things to run, you would have to invest $20,000 plus to get that system. And it was just some basic movement that it would make for you. I mean, then it was fantastic. Now it's like very basic movement. Now, for that same kind of movement, a $500, you know, laptop can do that and even more. You know, so this is an exciting time for us, and I believe that wherever we find ourselves as designers, ODA is giving us a wonderful platform to tell us that Africa must rise. We will rise, and I believe that next year when we are meeting again, ODA 2021, I believe, we would have exciting materials to show what we have been able to achieve over the last 12 years and what other countries can achieve. 51 exciting examples of what we can do with ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samuel. A lonely clap, but a very warm clap here from Cape Town. I'd like to thank you and Ralitsa. Just the inspiration that you shared and the story that you shared has raised so many points. I think the first question that I saw that popped up in the chat, and I'd like to answer that first, that comes from one of our viewers, is if we can please have the name of the Ashanti, the glasses what's the name of those glasses that the Ashanti mother is wearing, and where can we learn more information about that? Is Ralitsa still on the call with us?
Yes, I'm here. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, the glasses we call it locally, we call it chichi. We call it chichi, yes, we call it chichi. But normally the queen, that is the king's mother wearing that glasses. Yes. And normally it is a matrilineal society. So the king can select any other woman who is respectable within their local setting, their cultural setting, to become like the representative of his mother. And that woman is so powerful and is so respectable that if you talk to an elderly person like that and look into their eyes, it is seen as being disrespectful. So then those glasses are made from our local people, craftsmen, to make those glasses. So you normally find it on a cultural art center. They can make some, but the one that she's wearing is for royal purposes. Okay, so yes. And there is a lot of information about it. You can check out the Gold of Africa Museum. If you Google that and you Google an Ashanti King's mother's portrait, you find some information on that.
Okay, so, great, thank you. Yes, the chichi glasses, that's what we're looking to.
Chichi, like it says chichi. You don't ask that.
So just chichi. So I want to come back to the opportunity that I hear within both of the stories that you've presented. Just really wonderful examples of local African innovation. And the thread that I hear through all of this, Samuel, you mentioned that we spoke about, you speak about storytelling. And so there's two things I want to highlight. On the one hand, we have this habit as Africans to look externally, to look outside of our continent, to look outside of our countries, to see greatness. And what we see is that if you look at the concept of animation, if you look at the concept, just the industry of design, if you look at the industry of music, and actually how much money is generated in these industries, as you speak about, Samuel, now indeed is the time that we use our natural talents, we use our cultures. We've all grown up with stories. It's how we learn. Getting back to education, Samuel, how do we expand? How do we accelerate this education that Africans need to have so that they know I can make movies, I can write my songs, I can design using my phone? How do we accelerate the education around
that? Well, I think that the most important thing, like what's happening here in Ghana is you start your education right from secondary school, and you do not get the opportunity to have anything to do with any of these courses until you get into the university. And I think that's the challenge for us. Now, whereas our counterparts in other continents would have started from high school, some even from elementary school. So they get into the university knowing exactly what they want to do. And so it's more like specializing at the university, under some guidance. Now, I would want to share some sharing some experiences with some of the schools I visited in Denmark, in the Scandinavia, and then in some part of Europe. What happens is that you come into the school more as an apprenticeship. It's a college, so you go in more as an apprenticeship program. So you have some guidance, right from the beginning. So you come in and say, I want to be a character designer, I want to be a 3D animator, I want to be that. And so they guide you, and then they bring in industry experts from time to time to help you. In some places, they have an artist in residence who is an expert who would guide you on your projects. Now, my suggestion is for us to identify these people earlier in life, because not all of them would even want to end up at the tertiary level, at the university. So if I want to be an artist, if I want to be a musician, I should be able to have some education to be able to appreciate the principles and be able to understand the theories behind what I do, and then find myself in an environment where I can practice.
Yeah.
And then it would give me time to develop my art. So by the time I am about 20 years, about 21, I have been guided through the process, and I'm doing fantastically well.
You're skilled and in what you do.
Unfortunately, we have a situation. I mean, maybe Ralitsa can talk more about this. We have a situation where you get into the university first year, and now you're trying to learn software. So you're trying to understand what happens. So year 1, year 2, year 3, you're out. And then whereas somebody has year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 in secondary school, and has had all the basics. So he comes into the university, and his output definitely is going to be better than your output. He would have had linkages with a number of art platforms and associations, and would have sent his works to other festivals and at events like this that would have boosted his confidence. So he would come in definitely a better person than you are. So if we are able to do that, and then local councils, whether the local government councils, foundations, if they're able to put a little bit of money, to support people, young people in the arts, I believe that some of these expressions will come up much.
My name is Bubu Agisi, and I'm the creative director for IMC.
Young people are not on their phones. It's not like young people don't have a natural curiosity around,
my brand is based between Lagos, Nigeria, Nairobi, Kenya, and Accra, Ghana.
Just 1 second. Sune, are we going to? Okay. So, Ralitsa, I'd like you to maybe pop into the chat because Bubu has been able to join us, so I'd love for her to be able to give her presentation. But the one question I'd like to ask you to give us some more information after Bubu's presentation is to really talk about the bringing together of arts and technology. And so you see with the hardware that was designed, the African products that we have that are saving millions of lives. I don't always think that as creatives we realize how much engineering, how much of engineers we actually are and how much we build. So if you can talk about that when we come back, I'd really appreciate that. For now, I'm going to hand over to Bubu Ogisi from Isamigiso, and she's going to be presenting to us. I'll see you just now, Samuel and Ralitsa. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you too. Thank you.
So we
Hi. Hi there.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Bubu Ogisi, and I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. And my brand is actually pronounced I am Isigo, actually.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that, Bubu. I thought it was I am Isigo, but I thought it had to sound more African. I'm sorry for saying the brand. So I am Isigo. Please go ahead, Bubu.
Thanks for having me. Today, basically, I'm just going to be talking about my ideas and my work, my points of views in terms of creatively expanding our minds, not only as Africans, but as applying these ideas and ideologies to the global world itself. So I'm going to be showing you a few of my videos. First one is going to be introducing me, work, which essentially explains what it is that I do in the different parts of the African continent I visit. The second video in itself shows my work in detail. My work essentially tries to defy age-old techniques and traditions through defying like gravity, color, mass, light, and also trying to manipulate these different types of ideologies through fiber art and fiber making, which essentially has to do with working with our hands. And so yeah, I'm gonna allow you to watch the first video.
Thank you.
My name is Bubu Agisi, and I'm the creative director for IMCO. My brand is based between Lagos, Nigeria, Nairobi, Kenya, and Accra, Ghana. IMCO is a contemporary wearable art brand which focuses primarily on expanding and experimenting how the body explores itself within a space. My work primarily seeks to understand how history can be kept alive through its fabrications and expressions through matter. By passing down historical messages for the future, we're able to conserve ourselves not only as a people, but also as a collective and as a continent. Create wearable art pieces with unconventional materials and heritage textile traditions through in-depth research with remote African communities in different parts of the African continent. My work is heavily inspired by historical events and stories, and transforming these found data and information and applying and passing them on into garments and fibers as a form of a silent protest to post and neo-colonialism. These ideas are portrayed through space design, visuals, and film. My work seeks to unlearn, relearn, reimagine, reinvent, but majorly decolonize the mind, making the mind free, exposing the mind, allowing the mind to express, not only through its body, but through its space, but also primarily how a body can be seen as something superior to just a touch of a garment. My work questions and engages a variety of thoughts in relation to socio-political questions, which has to do with religion, gender, traditions, symbols, and scripts, tribes, as well as magic. How do we embrace our histories as having passed and move forward? All of my materials and techniques are original designs sourced and created in different parts of Africa, putting into consideration the artisans we work with, how they work, and where they work. The idea is to remove the constructs of borders and to merge different ideas to create a unism in matter and space. After rebranding in 2013, we are now in 7 different countries around the world and have been part of a number of fashion weeks all around the world. My work essentially is here for everyone and anyone who seeks to try and understand it.
I am a seagull. Thank you, Boo Boo.
Thank you. I hope
Boo Boo, just where are you right now? Where are you in Lagos or in Nairobi?
I'm in Lagos right now.
Ah, okay, great. So, Boo Boo, you're going to be joining as we have a discussion with Ralitsa and with Samuel. The 3 of us are all going to have, we've got about 9 minutes left before we have a coffee break. Something I'd like to point out before I go back to the question before you presented is I'm so inspired by, an African artist, designer, having 7 different stores across the world. That's huge. And we have 3 more videos. Aha. Sorry, I did not listen to. We're learning as we go along, Boo Boo. We are not finished yet. I'll hold on to that thought and come back to that. Let's see the rest of your videos. Thank you.
Enjoy. That were made for this body of work, which sort of is exploring and examining us as through this idea of divinity and finding ourselves through actual faith, love, and dignity, and seeing our souls become better than they are now. With respect to what's happening in the world. And essentially it's called Land of Gods because us as human beings in ourselves, we always try to find different ways, also making ourselves better. And with the research done in different cities, as we were all held back during this COVID period, this body of work had to do with me truly going back and exploring my soil and my surroundings and the people I have around me and where I'm from, essentially. So every single piece was an original idea and piece made in Osun State, which is in Nigeria, and Edo State, which is also in Nigeria. And all the pieces were all handmade and hand detailed. So I think there's another video I have for you. The next one essentially shows another body of work which we shot and filmed.
The obscure soul chasing me around. Discover the mother of life. Art, spirit express itself. Unfettered freedom. Die for my country.
Kongo lelo Kongo monene, lelo vraiment tomoni na miso, na ndenge mboka Kongo ebongi. Bandeko na ngai, oyamba lelo losako na ngai, mpona unité oya Kongo, tolanda mibeko bya Lumumba, ya Kisasa na Bwasa toyokana.
L'esthétique et les cosmétiques sont pour le boudoir. Je suis pour la vérité. La simple vérité pour un homme simple. The supreme question about a work of art is out of how deep a life does it spring? How deep a life does it spring? Deep a life does it spring? A life does it spring? Life does it spring? Does it spring? It spring. Spring.
Mokili ebandaki boye, bana mpe bakolo toyeba. Tango ya bakoko, na tango na biso ekeseni Kongo. Ezalaki, tango ya palanga misato.
Le cours de l'histoire est un cauchemar.
So, yeah, that's the second film we shot for the previous collection before Land of Gods. And Chasing Evil was about exploring myself when I visited Congo last year. I had a long-term residency while working with rape victims from the war and rehabilitating them through fashion. Sort of explaining subliminally how the similarities between Nigeria and Congo, and in itself the exploitation that exists in both places, but just subtly exploring those ideas through fashion and fiber and fabrics. So I think we have one last video, which is just 1 short minute long, and that essentially is she, which understands how a supreme higher entity is can be attained by ourselves. And this collection was all made from bark cloth, which is the bark of the tree, and everything was created and made in Uganda and Kenya. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to witness your design, your artwork. It seems to say a lot about you, about the depth also of what we experience in Africa and how we can reframe and redesign, rethink, reuse, and use our inner strengths and assets, right?
Exactly. Yes. And everything and anything that surrounds us can be used and reused.
Absolutely. I loved your sentence where you said, where you spoke about how we can keep history alive. And I think also our intrinsic indigenous knowledge that we have and use it to propel ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that you get it.
It's beautiful. I'm blown away. Thank you so much. Boo Boo, I have to end off this session. I know that there's a lot of people waiting to get into have their virtual coffees with you. So I'm going to ask you to pause for a moment while I speak to the rest of us online. Thank you. It's been an honor being in this session with you. So thank you for joining us, everyone. We invite you to stick around and enjoy our entertainment break while we listen to Mino melodies from Cape Town. If you've signed up for a virtual coffee session with the previous speakers, Bubu, Samuel, and Ralitsa, please make your way to the speakers virtual room, which starts at 10:45. Please remember to use the link that was provided to you when you booked for your virtual coffee sessions. And don't forget to show us some love on social media using our official hashtags, hashtag ODA2020, hashtag Open Design Africa, hashtag Small is Massive. We will be back at 11:20 to introduce the speakers of session 2. The next session will be moderated by my very good and beautiful friend, Boyel Watungu. She's an attorney, social justice activist, and co-founder of QWBNA, which is the Queer Women in Business and Allies, a non-profit organization, a community of more than 1,000 entrepreneurs and working professionals with a mission to empower and advance each other in Africa through market access. Please enjoy the break and go grab yourself some coffee. Thank you.